Gen Z can't afford to move out of their childhood bedrooms. And this is not theoretical. This is now the Wall Street Journal reporting on this. And it's being echoed in my comments like this one.
Why doesn't Gen Z just save up to move out? Because Gen Z can't afford to move out. Do you ever think about that? Grandma and Grandpa Boomer bought a house with their summer job because it literally costed them pennies. And now they want to sell it for $1 million. Their little 1,000-square-foot shed, they want to turn around.
Gen Z's life. If you make $20 an hour, that is $40,000 a year. After taxes, that is $2,750. The average one-bedroom apartment and utility is going to run you.
Gen Zs can't afford to move out of their childhood homes. I'm just going to play you a few videos of people that are or explaining why they can't move out on their own or why they are still living at home.
I cannot stand how the news has been dogging Gen Z and calling them lazy for not wanting to work a 9-to-5 for the rest of their lives. Let me put it in perspective for everybody who's a little confused here, okay? I work 5 days out of the week, 40 hours a week, okay? I do not make enough to live on my own. I would not make enough to pay rent, water, electric, and eat. All by myself. I would not be capable of doing that. 20 years ago when you were getting started, you could live on your own. 20 years ago when you first started, you were able to do everything that I am now struggling to do. Let me add another perspective here. You've been working for 20 years. You have 20 years of working experience behind your belt. You have 20 years of experience in a career that has allowed you to gain raises, to get more money, to profit you in an economy that you created. You can sit here and you can call Gen Z lazy all you want, but I've been working my tail end off just to barely make it by. And respectfully, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. I don't want to work my tail end off, wasting all of my life working just to barely be able to pay my bills.
Why doesn't Gen Z just save up to move out? Because Gen Z can't afford to move out. Do you ever think about that? Grandma and Grandpa Boomer bought a house with their summer job because it literally costed them pennies. And now they want to sell it for $1 million. Their little 1,000-square-foot shed, they want to turn around and sell that for $1 million. Or even think about how up until the 80s, most people's incomes grew at the same rate as the 1% did. And the debt-to-income ratio was actually manageable back then. But nah, because y'all only want to look at things at the surface level. It's easier to ask, why doesn't Gen Z just save up to buy a house, instead of asking, why have we let the system get so bad that life is actually unaffordable for the average person now?
6 years old, having a full-time job and a master's degree, and still living at my parents' house. Our parents built their lives in an economy where one job and one mortgage could secure a home. Now, Gen Z graduates at the top of their class are sending out hundreds of job applications, getting a full-time job, and still are not able to make enough to move out of their parents' house. Because rent, unexpected expenses, and healthcare costs are draining every cent from paychecks before the next month even starts. Even the parents are reporting the same thing to the Wall Street Journal. There is no way that she could afford to move out. Housing costs are skyrocketing. Healthcare is a financial trap. Entry-level jobs are demanding years of experience, and wages are just not keeping pace. So from a very honest perspective, young adults are not failing, but the system is definitely failing them.
If you kids can't live comfortably on $20 an hour, you have to be overspending. We got to break this down very quickly to give people perspective into the Gen Z's life. If you make $20 an hour, that is $40,000 a year. After taxes, that is $2,750. The average one-bedroom apartment and utility is going to run you $2,000. You cannot do that making $20 an hour, so you're going to have to rent with a roommate for about $1,200, and that's being conservative. $500 a month for groceries, which is less than $150 a week. $300 for a student loan payment, which is below average. $300 for a car payment, which is below average. $150 for car insurance, $150 for gas, $100 for personal care, $50 for a cell phone is $2,750. That is paycheck to paycheck, leaving you with nothing. Nothing for savings, investments, the big one, health insurance, because I'm assuming they're under 26 years old, and zero fun. Now, if they were to make $30 an hour, that's $60,000 a year. That's $3,900 after taxes. Maybe they decide to get their own place for $2,000 and everything else stays the same. They're left with $350 a month, which is essentially still paycheck to paycheck. This is the cost of living in America.
The thing that drives me the craziest is the fact that my generation is told that we are never satisfied. We're never satisfied. We're always wanting things for free. We're always wanting these good things. Even though a lot of us have gone to college, we've done a whole nine. We've gotten good grades. We've done everything. We've gotten a job, and we still can't afford anything because the debt is absolutely rising through the roof because of the fact of how much college costs. FAFSA aid has already been cut back once. Now it's been cut back again with the big stupid bill. And we have a whole bunch of billionaires who are telling us that we should be satisfied with what we have, as they consistently cut corners to either sell our data, to put forever chemicals back in our food, to ruin the quality of food that we already get as a whole, simply so that they can make more money because they are never satisfied with the money that they have. They make millions of dollars a year, but they would rather sell you out, ruin your life by making your electricity bills higher, by investing in a data center that makes no money, and then blame you for being upset that you can't afford anything because they bought up all the houses as investment assets to back the AI system that the data center that they just bought. This is crazy. And that's the reason why my generation is getting upset. That's the reason why
How much did you pay for your first house?
House I bought $12,500.
Gen Z is cooked if boomers are making all the laws and all the monetary policies in this country because they are so far off about the current state of the world. But it's not just your average baby boomer that gets this wrong. It is national television too.
Buying a home in 2024 is difficult. The American dream, some people say, is vanishingly hard to grasp. But history is repeating itself all over again. In fact, you can turn back the clock to 1979. A young family in Chicago who were struggling to buy a home.
Would like to buy a new house bigger and closer to their jobs. They can afford a down payment. What they can't afford are current mortgage rates. So they've quit looking.
Considering that this house, if I were to buy it today, would probably cost me another $195 a month.
That is an incorrect comparison. Gen Z and millennials are facing a much harder time buying a house, and what worked back then doesn't work now. He wasn't just an entry-level home buyer in 1970. He was looking for a new house, a bigger one, and closer to the job, not just a house to live in general. And shockingly to boomers, but not shockingly to millennials and Gen Z, 11% interest on a $60,000 house is still better than 6.5% on a $300,000 house.
For all the idiots that keep commenting, just leave, bro, just move out. You thought I haven't tried, bro? You thought I haven't never thought about that? You don't just leave or just move out. There's so many variables you got to be in control of first. First off, in this shitty economy, there's already the rent that you got to worry about. Everything's hella expensive for no reason. So if you're going for somewhere cheaper, you got to make sure that's still a safe neighborhood. So I'm trying to find a delicate balance between a good price and somewhat of a safe neighborhood. And if you're moving out with someone else, like with a friend or your girlfriend, bro, I got to coordinate with them too. On top of that, each individual probably still has ties with their family. Stuff like health insurance, car insurance that are probably shared with the parents still, or credit cards that are still under the parents as authorized users. I got to make sure I got all those insurance and credit cards set up before I completely detach from my parents. You also need to have enough in your savings for maybe a high security deposit for the apartment. And most apartments nowadays, you need to be earning at least 1.5 to 2.5 the amount of rent per month. If I move into a new area too, I need to transfer my job as well. I can't just move to a new area, have no job. So yeah, clearly I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about moving out for the longest time.
The first generation where you can be financially literate and responsible, and yet it is increasingly more difficult day by day to purchase things like a house. There are so many resources that so many people in this generation are taking advantage of, and yet it's so difficult to do those things. The big thing to me that's just frustrating more than anything is that you can do all the right things and still end up in a position where you're just not where you want to be.
I think most people or young adults deciding to leave a home or choosing to leave a home is actually pretty smart. You know, I wouldn't go as far as calling them lazy or lack of ambition, because look at the economy that we are in right now. Like when you look around you, everything has quadrupled, tripled, and double. Every bill you can possibly think of is up. Groceries and insurance, like everything you can think of is up. So just imagine you not having any kind of income or a job that is not actually sustainable. You know, people are living from paycheck to paycheck. You know, people are paycheck away for being on the street. You know what I mean? So I think it's actually really smart for them to live at home. You can save up your money. You can save up some money, and then you decide to move out. Further down the line, you decide to move out with a little money that you save, you know, get an apartment of your own, or decide to put it out on a down deposit for a house. You know what I mean? But I think it's smart. I don't think it's lazy, because Gen Zers are some of the smartest people. These are generations that went to college, graduated with multiple degrees. Some have like multiple degrees, and still cannot afford to move out because of the cost of living. They're already in debt from student loans and everything else, you know. So I don't know, but let me know what you think about this story down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all in my next video.